paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe, and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, yeah, it's all right, refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And
I
yes,
don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
All right, everybody. Well, welcome in then to Brainstorm Brewery. I'm
What do you
Corbin
mean
Hostler.
then?
I mean then. I mean now. I mean
Well, that being the case,
Always.
you said
I don't
as
know.
the first sentence of the podcast. Come on. Really?
Yeah, but what if it's the first thing that's played after the previous episode on their podcast player? You don't know.
Jason, do you
I do know
understand
that
how
people
cold
would not.
you understand how cold opens work, Jason?
Do you understand that?
He understands how cold beer works as he pours something into our Brainstorm Brewery drinking glass.
True. Anyways, that's Jason. I'm Corbin. That's DJ there in the middle. And we are joined this week by the creator of the Shock Box themselves, Sheepwave, from my used to hanging out on Twitter. You are all around the internet these days. So what is up? How's it going?
I'm doing great. I've been terrified to learn as I branch out from just doing magic content, more into other things. What the track record is for people who have done that, it's not great. The one that turned into an NFT peddling pyramid scheme weirdo is the best one. So, that's been a terrifying precedent to have to worry about. But other than that, I'm doing fine.
Well, great. I mean, we're glad to have you on, and we're going to talk a little bit about the thing that's been gaining a bunch of exposure recently, which is the Shock Box. So we're going to get into that. But tell people real quick, just in a nutshell, what that is and what it is that sort of has been, you've been showing off around the internet with it,
And what it has to do with MTG Finance.
Yeah. Also pretend that.
Just kidding. We don't care anymore. It's been years. We've abandoned the pretense of being a finance podcast at this point.
I did buy like 40 copies of Shock, so there might be a 0.001 cent increase on that. So, watch out. Shock is making moves. So the Shock Box is a plastic junction box that is crammed with a whole bunch of different electronical components that can basically control what's called a TENS unit, which is normally therapeutically used to ease with like muscle aches and certain tensions. Chiropractors use them. But in this case, I'm horribly misusing this technology to deliberately shock people on purpose. So all 4 players have these on their arms, and the box has a life counter built in. So when you take damage, you press the button and it adds 1 to your threshold. And then when you go over this random threshold that you don't know, after a random amount of time that you don't know, it zaps you.
Can you put the electrodes anywhere other than your arm?
First thing, yeah.
You can. Running them so that the line between them passes through your heart could kill you, I will say.
Well, I was going to ask how you make sure not to...
What if it's very far from your heart?
Jason's asking all these questions, and I'm just thinking of like the WKUK skit where the vacuum salesman's like, it will rip your dick off.
I wasn't asking about my dick,
no,
DJ.
No,
Get
I'm
your
not
mind out
asking
of the
that. It
gutter.
will rip
The
your
actual
dick
answer
off.
to the question you're asking. This is not my thing, but in the process of doing this, I learned about people for whom this is their thing. And yes, people have put these devices in other places.
There you go, Jason. Thank you. That's what you were, man.
Did they die?
They survived at least long enough to write about it on the internet.
Jason,
That's
you know that picture of the airplane with all the holes in it?
Yes.
Never see the ones.
No further statement.
Yeah. See, I'm sitting here wondering how you keep from green miling somebody, and Jason's just trying to stick it up his or something like. Come on, man.
That's so rude, Corbin. How do you know I didn't mean my? You don't.
You're right. I did not know that. Anyways, well, welcome into the show, everybody. We're glad to have Sheep on for the episode, and as you can tell, it's going to be fun. We've got Innistrad to talk about.
I hope JJ beeps out where I said.
Okay, that would be the most important thing for him to do. You're also welcome, JJ, to beep out where I said it'd be funnier that way. And then leave in this part where we're...
What else could it be?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly, Jason. Leave them in suspense.
Commander's Herald doesn't have an HR department, but maybe we need one now.
I mean, like one of your writers is a deranged madwoman who commits like war crimes in her spare time. I think you better need one.
Yeah, I just want to know what the like quality assurance process is on this, right? Like, did you have to have human volunteers here? What did it say?
So I actually did
approved?
test it on myself. It's approved by nobody. Nobody has approved it. I think several articles in the Geneva Convention actually specifically disapprove of it.
I see. Okay.
The bit where I was like, oh, like delayed reactions used in certain torture methods, that sounds perfect. Let's incorporate that. Yeah, I mean, it is so big largely because like it's stuffed full of like safety features. You know, it's very, very fun to play up that it's dangerous, but it's actually not.
How often do you get like...
So, like, what is the power source? Are you, like, plugged into the wall?
9-volt battery.
No, God, no. Battery.
It's a single 9-volt battery. It could be a potato. I'm considering trying to, like, power it off of a potato. Because I'm very concerned that Twitch is going to try and shut the stream down at some point. Because they're like, this could cause injury... The thing, as long as they actually bother understanding what's going on, is entirely compliant with the Twitch terms of service, which is that there is no reasonable likelihood of physical harm occurring.
So, like 9 years ago or so, probably 8 or 9 years ago, I watched a lot of League of Legends streamers because I was into that at the time. And people who are listening to this may know the name Phantom Lord. It's a very, very old League streamer who ended up like getting into a bunch of legal trouble, and I think he moved to Mexico to avoid.
By that,
stuff,
DJ means he's like 24.
I don't know, but like, I remember watching him and his girlfriend play League of Legends while wearing shock collars.
Oh, that really checked off all the boxes for you.
It was like they had the controls to each other's, and when they died in game, the other party could choose to press the button, and I remember that getting shut down. So, that was a thing at some point that may or may not have skirted some amount of rules.
The shock collars are significantly more dangerous than what I have going.
I'm sure.
You know, it is a concern. I do record everything locally because YouTube is 100% fine with this content for whatever reason.
I know why.
Well, because it's extremely marketable. But yeah, so it is completely safe. Like you can literally lick a 9-volt battery safely. Like, you know,
wouldn't recommend it though.
You can though. Like people like in my time.
Die.
Are you telling me
engineering? Are
you telling me I could get shocked by a potato?
Yes, and I think that would be really funny.
I don't believe you.
Well, I mean, if you want to visit me in New York, like I can make it happen.
Oklahoma, and he's pretending he doesn't know all the parts of a potato.
Well, which part is the electricity producing part?
It's the zinc and the nickel plated screws that you put into it having a chemical reaction with the acid in the potato.
Okay.
But yeah, I would need like a bunch of those. So I could do it off a potato, but
one really big potato.
It's just one really juicy potato.
Well, yeah. What's the most important part of the potato for making electricity?
The acid.
You just need to really... Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, this was a fascinating little...
So how often do you get
building...
people...
Yeah. Move on. Go ahead, DJ.
So, like, I do parkour, and I get people all the time who just, like, shout the Office bit at me. Like, as you made this, and as I watched the creation of it throughout Twitter, I'm just thinking, she is getting sent that one clip of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh my god.
All the time. So, like, I'm just thinking, like...
God.
Yeah,
what's
like,
the clip?
It's a known thing in Yu-Gi-Oh. Like it's
not
the shadow
it wasn't,
game.
It wasn't like a specific clip, but people would be like, "Oh, this is just like Yu-Gi-Oh," and I'm like, "No, it's not." And then of course, one of my friends who's like going to be a recurring guest on it is like, "Hey, I'm going to show up in a Pegasus Maximilian cosplay and say, oh, Yu-Gi boy." Like, oh, thanks. You're really helping with the Yu-Gi-Oh thing. But anyway, I also made her I decided I was going to make her I was just going to give her a commander that was a Yu-Gi-Oh card because at that point just lean into it, I guess.
I mean, yeah, this
just like a commander that involves paying life.
This would make sense
it's actually
for
the
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Scarab God, like, because I watched that anime when I was like, if I say how old I was when that anime was out, I'm gonna make all of you feel old, so I'm just not gonna do that.
Yeah, please don't.
So like I have like a little bit of like half remembered nostalgia. I'm also gonna let her just play Pot of Greed, the card that just says draw 2 cards.
I mean, I'm 26, so like that's the bar.
Oh goodness, I'm older than you then. Never mind.
DJ's a baby, Jason's an old man. It's perfect.
I'm not that old.
Okay.
That's exactly what an old person would say.
Okay, boomer.
Would a person say I'm 37, I'm not old? Quoting Monty Python and the Quest for the Holy Grail, a movie none of you have seen.
We've all seen that movie.
DJ?
I've seen parts of it at different times that
That
is enough
counts.
to constitute having
What?
seen it.
That counts.
How have you not seen?
I've never seen it all the way through.
He hasn't seen a movie.
It's the kind of
Isn't
movie
it-
that like I watched like halfway through in college, then like something
DJ watched
happened.
the grass die instead of watching movies as a
Yeah.
kid.
No,
if
I
you
just
really press him,
played-
he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I grew up poor." Even though like it's been a while since you lived with your parents, like you had all of college to watch movies.
He's
I
also
spent-
had a lot of time since college
Yeah.
because he's old.
I watch a lot of anime, good sir.
Yep. That's what you
Yeah,
forgot to
I
ask
could watch
him
Monty
about the
Python and
anime.
the Quest for the Holy Grail and get references, or I could watch a 13 episode anime about people who are firefighters and the fires fight back.
That
That's
was
a
a
good
movie,
anime.
not a 13 episode anime, and it was also very good.
No,
No,
it's
it's
an anime.
on-
It's
it's on
It's
Hulu
Fire
right now.
Force.
There's-
Oh wait, what?
It's
There's another one?
It's called Fire Force. There's like 50 episodes. It's pretty
Oh
good.
my god, I thought you were talking about
You've
Promare.
got to be kidding me.
Yeah,
Look,
no,
sometimes
I guess
what-
there's multiple.
I thought you were talking about the movie Backdraft.
I've seen that movie.
Corbin's like, I'm gonna learn about potatoes and anime. Best episode ever.
Best episode ever. Shock me with the potato. Okay, whatever.
Oh my god, some of my laughs are clipping the audio. Oh, that's terrible.
Where I come from,
Those are cackles. Laugh
Water-
don't
That's
clip your
true.
audio.
That's
Yeah.
true. If I'm laughing about someone getting hurt, it is in fact cackling.
watermelons are fruits and
Oh.
vegetables.
Wait, is it fruit, but they are fruit?
Just
And
Let him have
vegetable
it. Let him have it.
and vegetables. Watermelon is a fruit, but it is a state vegetable.
It's
of
the state
Oklahoma.
vegetable of Oklahoma.
So, someone reminded me of that on Twitter the other day, and I realized it had been a while since we'd put that particular little factoid out here on the podcast. So,
Yep.
there you go. All right,
And
well, let's.
now you're all the
let's-
better for having known it.
That's something like that anyway. All right, let's move on while we have a chance here to Breaking Bulk, and we want to give a shout out to our sponsor, mtgstocks.com. This is the website that we use to look up all of the bulk. If you go look up an episode we did a couple weeks ago titled "How to Sort, Ship, and Organize Your Magic Collection," we talked a lot about how to use MTG stocks most effectively to go through cards that are worth a little bit of money, but maybe not everyone knows. And that's exactly what we do in this segment here on Breaking Bulk.
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
So I'm going to go first in the since we're here on Innistrad, I'm going to talk about a green uncommon from Shadows over Innistrad.
Is it Duskwatch Recruiter this time?
Nope.
Is it a wolf thing?
Is it the Hermit one that draws you cards?
Nope.
Is it Grapple with the Past?
Nope.
Is it the,
That's a
the
common.
Flash enchantment that buffs werewolves?
Nope.
Is it the Eldrazi thing?
Nope.
The 3/2 guy that like transforms.
Nope.
Is it a creature or a non-creature?
It's a non-creature.
Is it an enchantment?
No, it's an instant. I think I've stumped you guys. I think at this point it counts as a stump.
Green Shadows over Innistrad instant.
Yeah. It's a recent pick.
Then that's probably, I'm not.
Well,
I might learn something today.
I was thinking the Eldritch Moon expansion symbol, which is why all the cards I was naming it was Eldritch Moon.
Yeah, when you said Eldrazi, I was a little weirded out, but I didn't blame you for it, because, like, you named a set that was close to Shadows over Innistrad, as opposed to, like, a Corbin guess would be like, that one red card from Shards of Alara, so, like, I gave you a pass. But yeah, let's hear it.
You're welcome, Jason, you gotta have someone set the curve. Okay. The card is Moonlight Hunt, by the way.
That's uncommon.
Yep, that's what I said.
You said common.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you said the thing I said was common. Okay. I
got him. Anyways, Moonlight Hunt is a werewolf card in that it says choose target creature you don't control. It's a 2-mana green instant. Each creature you control that's a wolf or werewolf deals damage equal to its power to that creature. So
I picked all the werewolf cards except this one.
You did. This is a new one.
This isn't played though. Like people have had Arlen Cord decks for like 5 years, and no one ever played this. So this is 100% speculation.
Maybe it could be like discovered demand too. It could be people just like finding out the card exists.
Yeah, I mean it could also
draft chaff like back in the day.
Yeah, I mean you just have a new set of people making werewolf decks, right? Like it's just this card spiked before. It's not the first time this card is spiked. It's just the first time.
I'm not telling you that
its
price wasn't affected. I'm telling you the amount it is played is not affected by the existence of werewolf decks.
Has there been enough? You're talking about EDH data. Has there been a lot of werewolf decks added recently to the website, or is it something we think people are still going to be building out over the next few weeks?
I don't think the card's going to be played.
I mean, I would be surprised, honestly, if it was played a lot. So I don't know how long this will last, but this is not the first time it's been worth more than $1, which I think is interesting. But I do agree with you on that. That it's not good, but it is worth money.
I have a Battle for Zendikar colorless uncommon.
Breaker of Armies.
No.
The other one.
An inversion thing?
Jason might be referring to a mythic from Oath of the Gatewatch?
No, oh god.
DJ, is it the one that has fake Annihilator?
I'll give it to you.
Spawn of Balaged.
Bane of Balaged, yep.
Bane of Balaged, yeah.
Okay. This card is $1. Like, it's a 7-mana, 7/5. When it attacks, defending player exiles 2 permanents he or she controls. And it's $1. I mean, I pull these out and then I sell them, and it's
this card has been really hit or miss on buy lists for me. I've had times where I've gotten 50 or 60 cents for this card on a buy list, and times where it's just not on it at all. So this is one of those that I always pick, even if I don't always sell right away. I'll hold it back and wait for a good price on it.
Fabulous.
What do you got, Jason?
I got a card that has been printed like once for real, but then it's got a commander printing, a commander anthology printing, and another commander printing. Plus it's in 2 world championship decks because it is from Judgment. This is a black Judgment uncommon.
Judgment. It's not filth, is it?
No. It's a good guess, though. This is $2 with all those printings.
Oh, I know this. It's the reanimate Stitch Together.
Stitch Together.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Old Sticky Fingers is playing this. It's just a really good spell. And they can't print this enough to keep it under $2.
So I'm going to guess what it is, and then I think I'm going to get it right this time, because last week I guessed what Life and Death did. I guessed that it made a sapperling, and you said yes, and we were both horribly wrong. That card animates lands, and we were informed about it in the comments.
Yeah, it was sideways, and I saw a 1/1, and I was like, yeah, it makes a 1/1. I didn't feel like turning my head, so I did it this week.
Well, somebody corrected us, but so
who gives
this one is...
You nerd. Congrats on knowing what a card... the half of a card you're not going to use does.
We just played an entire game about knowing cards, and whatever. No, you're right. You're right.
You pull this out of your bulk.
It's 2 mana, unearth a card to your hand, but if you have Threshold, it brings it back in play, right? Yes? No?
Which one?
Stitched together. It's like 2 mana, return a creature to your hand, but
it does have Threshold. Yeah,
if you have Threshold, it brings it back in play. Is that it?
No.
I already closed the window. I think you're wrong.
It no longer exists. It's gone now.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly as you described it.
Okay.
Why don't you just ask your friend who loves to correct us? Why don't I just say the wrong thing?
That is the best way to learn something on the internet, right? It's like you make an incorrect statement and wait for the internet to correct you.
That's called Cunningham's Law, and I love to say that it's Godwin's Law, and someone will correct me. It's like, actually, it's not Godwin's Law, it's Cunningham's Law. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right.
Wow.
I was going to look it up, but you got it first.
Great. Well, thanks for that. Moving on, let's talk a little bit about not Shadows of Innistrad. Innistrad Midnight Hunt. What now that we have the entire look, we've got 1 week to talk about it before we're on to the next set. So let's enjoy it. And what it sounds like Jason maybe is not a fan. So I was going to ask if anything stands out to you, or just now that we have everything, what your impression on the set as a whole is. I'm already deep into drafts on.
I think
Arena.
People like the idea of having a werewolf deck, but if I sit down across from someone who plays a Tovolar, I will be shocked.
Because you think it's just boring or not very good? Or?
It's bad. They haven't satisfactorily made a werewolf commander, and now they've made one that doesn't even play nice with the previous werewolf cards at all.
Yeah, I mean, unless someone is saying I'm gonna errata all the old werewolves to use night and day, whatever. I mean, a lot of people are gonna just do that, and people are gonna say yes. I mean, honestly, I think Morophon is still the best werewolf commander, which is sad.
Might be true.
Yeah.
My most sold card over the past week and a half, or 2 weeks probably, has been Immerwolf at $3 a piece.
That's
consistently.
That's obscene.
I have sold maybe 40 or 50 Immerwolves over the past 2 weeks at $2.99, and they're all one-ofs. It's not one person scooping them up. No, sorry, it's not one person slurping them all up. It is. Jason doesn't like that word.
What might that sound like, DJ? If someone was slurping up Emeralds. Jason, what do you think it would sound like?
I don't have.
If someone was
one person
slurping
needs to make the wolf noise, and one person needs to make the slurping noise.
Oh,
right.
I just I was just gonna grab my
you know what DJ's doing over there, man.
I just dumped my little sorting tray, a little thing, but that's fine.
Where did you get your sorting tray?
That's what you get for doing a physical bit. You should be punished for doing fucking prop comedy.
DJ, why did you even get a sorting tray like that to do?
Oh, it wasn't a sorting tray, but it was a little.
Oh my god, he just handed you the perfect BCW
I know.
ad pitch and you fumbled it.
I didn't. I fumbled it on purpose.
Just like that tray.
I was so excited to make the slurping sound of cards.
That's not how is that a slurp?
I don't think that's what a slurp would sound like.
That doesn't sound like a slurp.
I don't know.
You punted an ad pitch for that.
Yes.
All right.
I got us that ad pitch and I can take it away.
At least you're committed to. Oh my god.
I'm also committed to buying a bunch of 5-row boxes on BCW. Yeah.
I mean,
DJ, if you were going to do that,
that's the ad pitch.
If you were going to do that, DJ, what would you do on checkout?
I would use the promo code Brainstorm for 10% off. That also helps us, your podcast. This isn't our podcast, it's your podcast.
It's true. We don't want it anymore.
There you go,
We're gonna
DJ.
do a
Was that
contest
promo
in the
code,
Discord.
and then you
We're
would
gonna pick
continue...
3 people in Discord and just let them be the podcast. Just like it's yours now. This is your problem. You have to do it every week, whether you want to or not. And every month there's a set review. So enjoy your new podcast, dumbass.
I can maybe... I'm trying to think the minimum number of clicks I can make on my computer to ruin the podcast.
is it like 3?
I think it's 3, because I can...
It's the most boring thing imaginable, but they're probably not gonna, like, you know, they always give cycles of dual lands generic names so they can reprint them on other planes, and then they never do that, ever.
True.
They've reprinted, like, Watery Grave and Friends 3 times on Ravnica when they were specifically designed with generic names in mind.
Yeah. For EDH specifically, all these duels are just... I mean, they're only slightly worse than the multiplayer duels. Like, aside from CDH specifically, where turn 1 and 2 are vital, like... So people are just gonna want to buy 5 copies of these.
But, like, every set that comes out, in the top 10 most played cards, 5 of them are the lands.
Yeah.
Like, Rockfall Vale is the number 3 played card right now.
Yeah.
Every set... the lands are like all 5 are in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't really tell us anything other than that.
Yeah. Well, but there is another relevant point. Which is any card that would normally go in a lot of EDH decks is likely to have slow growth over the next year or 2.
For sure.
No, but not just for obvious reasons, but specifically because a site that a lot of people were using to print counterfeits just went down like 2 days ago.
Oh,
so,
I didn't know about this.
Yeah, no, it's a thing that I've been intertwined with deeply over the last couple of days. But like, there's a lot of people who may have gotten used to the idea of being able to buy 5 counterfeits of a card and then put it in all 5 of their decks, like something like Farseek or whatever that's like $2 right now. Anything like that that's kind of slowly been going down in value over the last year is likely to, over the next year, go back to where it was before, if not higher, because of that site being taken down.
Huh.
So people are gonna have no choice but to buy Magic cards, is what you're saying?
Basically, people who there was a release valve on the price of all Magic cards being played in EDH that is now no longer exists.
Is there financial incentive for somebody to replace it?
There's always going to be somebody. But there was a tool. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to encourage anyone to speak out.
Is it Corbin?
It was Corbin. But no, there was a tool people were using that removed basically all of the barriers to getting counterfeit cards.
I know what you're referring to.
Yeah, the thing that everyone apparently just decided one day where they were going to talk about openly on Twitter. And with that gone, that release valve on a lot of these massively played staples is gone. So they're likely, they're likely to slowly creep back up in value. That is my insider knowledge with this publicly known information, but I mean, most people don't know about that yet because they just haven't noticed.
I'm curious if the people that weren't buying those cards before will start buying them though, or if they'll just
go play Flesh and Blood.
Flesh and Blood is expensive.
Really? It seemed dirt cheap to me.
It's like $600 or $700 for a top deck.
You need 9 copies of every card in your deck.
I think that game wants to make itself look expensive to look appealing, and that they want you to think that you can open up money from packs and make money. But that's
I opened up a $300 card.
Yeah, because the limited packs that you can I don't know. It's tough to get the limited packs on anything old. The unlimited boxes, sure, they got
Yeah.
$500 cards in them, but the limited is like every pack is under $1. It's crazy.
And it is
feels
definitely
real bad opening.
It is definitely interesting that they were like, we're gonna print every set into the reserve list, but then also print it into the gold.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I got the vibe that they're trying to, like, copy the first edition Charizard, like, frenzy, but also copied, like, the Yu-Gi-Oh! We make every card 30 cents by making 85 promos of it after 6 months. Because, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Does that a ton, where it's the new card, the new super secret rare staple is $100, you need 3 for every deck, etc. And then 5 months later, after the hype is done down, they're like, and it's common now, have fun. So, like, there's no real, like, secondary market confidence, but people are so ingrained and used to that, like, they don't care. But, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon are also massively popular games, so, like, shrug.
Sure.
I don't know. It seems like artificially trying to, like, do that is just a recipe for not succeeding. But I don't know. I don't know enough about Flesh and Blood to give you financial advice on it.
Corbin, teach us all about Flesh and Blood.
Listeners can let us know if they want to hear that in a future episode. For now, though, going back to Innistrad, there's only, like, little more than a dozen werewolves in the entire set. The set is called Midnight Hunt. Is that just really bad?
Should be called Midnight Punt.
I mean, pretty much.
There are as many Teferis as there are werewolves.
I would guess it probably has to do with them being double-sided. Like, there's a limit to how many you can put in the set.
That's why there wasn't a commander deck, is that the logistics of printing double-faced cards in commander decks is just really, really weird, which is interesting. They've done it for tokens.
They could have put in no DFCs and just had all the cards you need to make your current werewolf deck work with your old werewolves.
Well, I think that I don't know. I had a couple thoughts on the set. Like, one is that I think it's interesting that they're coming out with a Innistrad, Midnight Hunt, and Crimson Vow remastered draft set or whatever a couple months from now, because this set basically feels like Innistrad remastered. It's got so many hits and mechanics from the previous sets, but it seems like it seems like a big punt in the sense that the werewolf thing is huge, right? The fact that there's very few werewolves in the set is a big deal, but the fact that there isn't a great commander, and the new werewolves don't work with the old werewolves. It's like, I think we talked about how I don't want them to limit what they're doing moving forward because of what has happened in the past, but it really does kind of just suck that people liked a lot of these old werewolves.
So you're saying they should grapple with the past?
No, I'm saying that they should errata the old cards. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, so the new cards can join the dance?
Confused why people think Tovalar is like a bad commander. He says the word draw a card a bunch. And like he does the things that you want, which is
I think there's nothing wrong with it, in my opinion. But it's
like
just...
he's early on the curve. He does the thing. He draws you cards, and he like makes your werewolves into.
I dare you to build a Tovalar deck.
I'm not going to, but that's because I wasn't going to build a Magic deck. Like there's not another deck I was going to build instead of it. So
I kind of want to build a werewolf deck, but I also kind of wanted that werewolf deck to be like 3 colors. Right.
More fun lets you do 3 color.
More fun lets you do 5 colors.
Yeah.
Probably true.
You can have all kind of good stuff in there.
I mean,
Every
I agree.
Kindred card, for example, you could have...
I kind of agree with both of you that, like, Tovalar is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a powerful card, but also, like, in the context of Commander, it's just kind of like, meh.
Well, Old Stick Fingers is pretty meh, I think, and it's the number 2 most built. The only thing that I could see being unique about Old Stick Fingers is you can put the Phyrexian Devourer Necrotic Ooze combo in your graveyard by repeatedly playing your commander and milling yourself. I don't think having his power and toughness be star is all that relevant per se. I think this is just a reanimator commander.
So, like, I've talked...
Actually,
Sorry, go ahead.
More than that, it's a CDH commander. I'm looking at the most played cards. These are all combos. Razakath, Witherbloom Apprentice, because you can assemble the chain of whatever and Witherbloom really easily. Triskelion. Yeah, this is all combos.
Steven Johnson wrote an article that went up on Monday on Cool Stuff that actually looked at the card in the context of CEDH, and it was a lot of the same stuff.
So, like, my only thoughts on this card are, I've talked about this a few times in this cast, where, like, legendary creatures that aren't named by other people or their, like, parents or whatever are just weird to me. Like, nobody, the card I talked about before was Eve, the legendary ooze. Like, nobody's like, oh, hey, what's up, Eve? Like, Ave. How's it going, Ave? Like, nobody named that thing. They're like, oh god, that's the eldritch horror that's going to eat our families. It's like, oh yeah, that's Ave. He lives down the block. He's the metaphysical ooze.
Oh yeah,
just like who's calling this guy old stick fingers?
But when you don't do that, it's like, oh, it's the whatever the beast was.
This is where
the Get Wrong monster, for example. It sounds dumb when they.
No, I think the Get Wrong monster is a great name. I think the Mimeoplasm is a great legendary creature name. Like,
okay, well, what about Questing Beast?
Yeah, that's one I couldn't come up with.
That one is missing a word.
The Questing Beast?
Yes.
Well, apparently the doesn't make something legendary. You can be the Molten Pinnacle.
True.
And the World Tree, yeah. But, like...
We did it, y'all. We deconstructed Wizard's logic on
like, who called this guy old stick fingers? Like, his poker buddies? Like...
No, I've got a good answer for you. The moms who are trying to scare their kids called
okay, that's good. I'll take that.
Yeah,
that's good.
I mean, so they're on Innistrad.
You're good.
You better behave or old stick fingers will come.
We'll come and stick his fingers, and then you're like, don't need to finish that sentence.
Right, show me on the doll.
Show me on the stuffy doll where old
show
stick
me on the
fingers.
Stuffy doll. Yep.
No, it's Creepy Doll. Creepy Doll's the Innistrad one.
Yeah. Also, yep. Anyways, that's where I'm at on the set. I do like the set though. I mean, it doesn't feel quite as, I don't know. I haven't played enough of it online yet to have a great feel for it. I do wish there were more tribal synergies going on than it seems like there are. But
what are you talking about? There's curse tribal. Curses are selling out because of
there is curse.
Tormentor.
I've got a friend putting together a curse deck. It's a thing.
People are gonna build that exactly once, and then whatever person they don't like, it'll finally be the catalyst for the end of their friendship, and then they will be stuck with those shitty curses.
You can't overwhelming splendor somebody in the Lind deck like you can with the other one.
Jason, you can play Morophon Cursed Tribal.
Now you're thinking.
See, that's just because 5 colorless legends are just too powerful and don't belong in this format.
Yeah,
true.
They're too good. Well,
Are
Morophon's next.
Are there any curses in this set? I actually don't even know what's in this set. I just don't care.
There are. Yes.
There's a few.
Nothing that's just like, oh my gosh, this is incredible in my opinion, but whatever, there's some curses.
Well, you're going to hear the word curse anytime it becomes night, and some neckbeard at the LGS is like, what a terrible night for a curse, and then you spray him with Axe body spray.
Funny exactly once. And it was on Twitter.
I just want to give a shout out to this while we can. I have to say that Champion of the Perished is the A+ to whoever named that card at Wizards. Yeah. And it's a sweet creature.
Hostile is a good name too, I think.
Yeah, this set I really do. I enjoy this
Croaking
set,
counterpart. They outdid themselves. They had a week and a half to make this set.
Triskaidekaphile was a cute name.
Yeah, that's
the
a good
Meat
one
Hook Massacre. The guy's not using a meat hook; he's using a cleaver. So, like, why is it called the Meat Hook Massacre?
That was the name of it, man. That's what the parents called it.
But they used the meat hook afterward. That's
old
like calling
stick fingers did the Meat Hook Massacre.
It's like calling a serial killer the Shallow Grave Killer. It's like, why are you calling that? Well, he put his bodies in a shallow grave. Well, yeah, every serial killer puts the bodies in a shallow grave. Like,
I'm just waiting for
that's not unique.
The half-slinging slasher to show up.
Well, we have the Vengeful Strangler. That's basically the Tattletale Strangler.
All right, well, moving on. We do want to talk to Sheepwave a little bit here about the Shock Box. So we got into it earlier, but what were the origins on this, right? Did you just sit at home one day and decide, you know what I really want to do? I want to turn a toy gun into a remote control, and I want to shock myself while playing Magic. What was the story here?
So the Shock Box was this idea that I had a while ago, but I didn't really like. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to do anything with it or not.
Mm-hmm.
But then, so like, I just kind of posted about it on Twitter, and I was like, what if? I think I just literally tweeted Commander, but every time you take damage, you get hit by a taser. Like, just no punctuation, no, just that sentence. And a lot of people said like, oh my God, that sounds so funny. And then I looked at my wall of electronics components, and I was like, I can make that. Like, I absolutely have the technical know-how. I used to be a robotics teacher and designer and things like that. So honestly, this whole project was sort of trivial for me. But it was fun getting to explore the kind of territory that I absolutely would not have done before, which is causing problems on purpose. I mean, like, it's also been kind of fun. Like, it's really not just the Shock Box at this point, because the Shock Box also talks to my computer, which changes cameras for the stream. So it makes it so the cameras switch right before it shocks us, so that it always captures our reactions.
It's pretty fancy.
Yeah, it's quite an advanced setup. I see you've carefully avoided asking why, God, why, which most people have been like, why? God, why?
You're right. I didn't wonder about why, because to me that sounds awesome.
Yeah,
I think that was one of the questions. We crowdsourced questions, and there were a couple why, God, whys.
You lightning bolt your friends, and then they get shot by the lightning bolt.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds amazing to me.
Yeah, I mean, like, the real answer to why, God, why, partly because I have a kind of sadistic sense of humor. But the other reason is that this was an idea that I could tell from the moment I started taking it seriously was gonna get very big and people were gonna like it. Like, I wasn't quite expecting it to, like, hit my grandma's Facebook, which it did, but like, I was expecting it to get pretty big and to be pretty successful, and I am really looking forward to, I mean, for one thing, like, we talked about Flesh and Blood. When I was making this, I actually wasn't just aware of what Flesh and Blood even was at the time, because I was just like, I just needed a break from Magic and all that stuff for a while, so I was like, let's work on this electronics project. But like, I'm looking at the rule set for Flesh and Blood, and there's absolutely nothing stopping me from running a Shockbox game using that. It's not even really tied to Magic.
True.
I'm considering. I've been in touch with them about some. I mean, you know, we haven't even mentioned it yet, but I'm also like a fan artist proxy maker. I've been in touch with the people over there to make sure that there's some the Wizards fan content policy is very clear. The Flesh and Blood one isn't quite as clear, so I wanted to make 100% sure that what I wanted to do was like completely kosher with them. Especially after I've, you know, spent the last several days lecturing people about breaking the Wizards fan content policy.
I was going to hopefully get to a couple questions about that before we did close.
But yes, yeah, there's lots of questions we had, but I just completely lost my train of thought because I'm a bimbo.
So here's what I need to know. Mm-hmm. What level of pain are we talking about here? On a scale of like, you know, like 1 to like Jason eating a spicy chip and crying, where are we at?
0, actually.
Dislike. Turn that sucker up.
So it's more like, you know, like those old jump scares where it startles you. Doesn't hurt.
It's like the stick of gum gimmick.
It's not a shock. It's a buzz.
It's using electrical currents to startle. It doesn't actually hurt at all. Like, I mean, and you know, maybe that's my perspective just because I've been using it on myself for a month and I'm immune at this point. But I mean, I was also doing the loudest reactions during the first stream, so apparently not. I'm just really sensitive to it, I guess.
But you could definitely set it up to get more intense as your life total gets lower.
What about 2 potatoes?
Sort of. 2 potatoes.
2 potatoes in series.
Potatoes.
No, so that is actually sort of how it works. It doesn't get more intense, but it does get more random as everyone's life totals get lower. At the start, it sort of behaves very consistently. It makes sure that the random threshold is somewhere between 4 and 6. I think for the first certain amount of. All these factors are also slightly randomized every time it boots up, so I don't even exactly know what it's doing at any given time.
Which is great, yeah.
But then as people's life totals get lower, it gets more and more like stressful. Like I have subroutines designed to do stressful behavior. Like for example, after one player has been knocked out, there's a chance that after one player hits the threshold of whatever their trigger is, it'll like chain to triggering another player, even if they weren't at their threshold yet. So it amps everything up as everyone's life totals go down, it amps the stress up.
So how does this interact with commanders who tend to pay more life than others or take more damage than others?
So that's been an interesting thing for me. I've been kind of curating a unique ban list for this thing. At first, I had a rule against paying life arbitrarily. I was like, you can't do Keurig, Son of Yawgmoth, and can't do Villas, can't do Necropotence, can't do Necrologia.
Selenia, Dark Angel.
Yeah, like there's a bunch of them. And like I wanted to be cautious at first because it would be easier to say you can't do this and then later you can. I've actually released those rules now. I haven't done a game since changing that, but also changed the starting life total to 30. Just because, like, for a couple reasons. Number one, using the stress box. Well, yes, using the shock box is uniquely stressful and draining, and it's just better to have two 30 HP games than like one 40 HP, and then you've got someone who's like, I can't do this anymore, which does kind of deflate it. So I decided 30 life and removing that ban list was better. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I do really want to there's a bunch of CDH players near me in New York City who I really want to get up here so we can do an actual CDH game, and someone has to pay every life point for ad nause. Like, all right,
exactly.
Reveal this. I'm going to press it. Ow! All right, and I reveal this. Okay, it's a land. Reveal this. Press it. Oh, ow! I really want to see that happen.
All right, hear me out. Let me share with you a little nugget of wisdom we learned from the booze cube, where some cards allowed you to take shots in lieu of paying life.
Yep.
Oh no.
And the downside of this was that people just wrecked themselves.
Yeah.
Now, while that did not work very well,
you don't
in the
have to
booze
say
cube,
people. You can say it. Me. To stabilize. It would end up being a 3-player game, which is terrible. I was doing a shot to buy back a putrefy.
Oh my god.
That I needed to keep playing. And I wrecked myself.
That's horrifying.
I did not check myself. I merely wrecked myself.
Exactly. So while that did not work for the booze cube, I think with the shock box, though, I say you let people play whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I would have taken...
And they just get hit. Like
physical damage than a shot.
That's
for sure.
That's where I'm at right now. There are still a couple banned cards. It's just because you literally have to use a button to do it. I said you can't set life totals because it's just a pain in the ass. Like, set everyone's life total this. Okay, everyone has to press the button 30 times.
Yeah.
So as a result of that, there's like Form of the Dragon and Form of the Dinosaur are therefore exploit cards because they have setting your life total as a downside. So those are banned. I also banned anything that does half of someone's life total at once for the same reason. It's just really annoying.
I mean, my Selenia deck is just that's its entire gimmick, is it's like a near-death experience / life swappy deck. So I play like Axis of Mortality, Repay in Kind, Ad Nauseam, Phyrexian Unlife as like win conditions. So that
if you want to visit me here in Westchester,
I mean, like half the deck's win conditions are banned, so it's like I can't play what's it called? Reverse the Sands, which is redistribute players' life totals.
Oh yeah, no, that you can't do.
Soul Conduit, which is 6 tap, 2 players swap life totals. Like that's most of that deck. So
I'm trying to stop adding hardware to it, but it is possible that I could add a dot. You know what? I need to stop.
I can see the smile. I'll stop. I can see the smile.
Getting me ideas.
So we do have a couple questions for your. I don't want to say side gig because apparently Shock Box is your main gig now.
So that's actually just sort of because I have a wrist injury. Like I can't really draw that much now, so I've kind of poured myself into this. But the art is my main gig. It's just not the new hotness, I guess.
Yeah. What is the weirdest thing you've been asked to do an altar of?
Okay. So for some people, the answer is going to be personas. For me, that is like the least weird thing. Like that's just like, no, that makes total sense. Of course you want your persona on your commander. I've done like 100 of those now. Oh, I should also specify that when I do a commission, I print a generic card that contains nothing that Wizards of the Coast owns. It's like a name that isn't the official name, and then like maybe some dots that can indicate what it costs in mana wise. But again, it's not a Magic card when I do a commission. Just gotta clarify that. I think the weirdest thing, I have a whole folder of weird things. I think there's people who do like really. I actually get dead pets a lot, which is kind of depressing. I have way more times than I would have liked to had to do drawings of people's dead pets, always for the same card, the Naya cat dog. It's always the Naya cat dog, and I'm always like, well, that's my job. I am a freelance artist. Oh yeah, so somebody asked me to do art of the Gitrog monster, but as like a cool frog who is wearing sunglasses and holding not Arizona can for the version that I gave them, but like that also connected to a Dakmor salvage that was in the same like vaporwave style and also like a sort of interpretation of Ulamog and Kozilek. That was a very odd one. And then I guess like all of the like weird crossovers I've gotten. Like, see, here's the problem. I'm the one who has all the weirdest ideas. Nobody asked me to make the Twitter interface into Toxic Deluge. Madness.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
I like the Slay the Spire cards too.
Oh yeah, I keep trying to be like, what makes sense as the Defect and Ironclad cards, and I've never gotten a perfect answer. So, yeah, I think I have to go with Vaporwave Gitrog Frog as the weirdest one.
All right, there you go. DJ, anything else we want to clear out of the queue there?
Can you talk a bit about how you work within WotC fan content policy and how that might affect others who want to make their own proxies or custom cards?
So the big old thing about the policy that really, there's one big thing that I regret not emphasizing when I appeared in the Spice Rack video, which is that people need to print their stuff at home themselves. Like, us in the proxy community have done a really good job of emphasizing you cannot legally sell things. But what we should have said is you cannot legally engage in the sale of. And a lot of people have taken that to mean, I mean, I mentioned it earlier, the that site that was doing counterfeits at mass scale. People were like, because it was allowing people to upload any image they wanted, and they just weren't checking what the images were. So people were like, well, it's fine if I'm buying these as long as I don't sell them. And it's like, no, you engage in an illegal sale of something that contains copyright infringement. For me, honestly, the Wizards of the Coast fan policy is unbelievably easy to work within. You just need to not be trying to actively get counterfeit copies of cards. It is that simple. You know, people don't like hearing, yeah, that means you do have to buy your own printer if you want to do it legally. But you know, what can you do? And you know, like I mentioned, like looking at Flesh and Blood, like the fact that they don't have an act, like WotC has a permissive policy. They say, here's a list of what you can do, which makes it really easy for a fan artist to know when they're in the clear. Most companies just say, here's the list of things that if you do them, but by as we define it, we will sue you. If you aren't exactly on this list, but maybe you're on this list, are you going to get sued? I don't know. You figure it out. Try it. See what happens. So the Wizards of the Coast fan policy does make it really easy to just like feel secure as an artist as long as you don't break it, which is, again, really easy. It's so easy.
Well, that's good to hear, right? That
yeah.
Because it's a whole world that I think we know very little about, right? Is all you know, outside of, hey, don't sell them. I personally don't know much about the proxy world.
Yeah, it is an unfortunate thing, and I have a whole article about this going up soon, saying like almost every single proxy currently in circulation in the Magic community is a counterfeit, not a proxy. And people do not gonna like hearing that. Like I used to not really understand what the proxy guy was saying when he would say things like that, and I finally have understood, like, oh, yeah, like, and it, like, I do feel for people who really just feel inspired and they want to put their work into physical form, but it's been a whole thing, and it's been blowing up, I mean, I'm literally getting like death threats in my business email right now because of it. Like, people that think that because I commented that this the way things were going was a problem, that I like personally took down this site, when like they literally had every single card from Scryfall uploaded onto it with the copyright line removed in a Google Drive that had the uploader's actual legal name on it. Like, that is how little precaution was being taken. Like, I'm not a big stickler for like the law, but at least be smart about it. Like,
well, counterfeits, I think we've talked at length here on the podcast on
Yeah.
about, right? So it is an understandable position. Well, is there anything else about any of your projects that you want to talk about before we move on to the next segment?
I don't know.
All right. Well, if people wanted to find more of your stuff or support you on the internet, where would be the best places to do that?
So everything I do goes through my Twitter. But you can find everything on sheepwave.com, which the landing page is basically a link tree. But it also has an art gallery as well as a shop to buy my cards that are legally not any card from any game. You can use them as Pokemon energy cards if you want. But yeah, whatever. I would be such a hypocrite if I hadn't been following these rules. So I've double and triple checked with my own lawyer about this. Like, am I in the clear? And yes, I am.
That's great. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sheepwave.com has everything.
All right, well, there you go. Go check that out, everybody. Before we get out of here this week, we, of course, have to do some picks of the week.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
And I'm going to start things off with a rare here from Modern Horizons 2 that is way cheaper than I think it's been in quite some time. And certainly the new version is cheaper than any of the previous versions. And that is Mirari's Wake at $4 right now. Card was in, Judgment originally, Conspiracy, Commander 2017. And those versions are all a minimum of $7.50. Some of them are $10 or up. So I got to say Mirari's Wake, Modern Horizons 2 at $4 seems like a pretty good one to have your eye on right now.
Seems fine. It's like one of the most popular cards in Selesnya colors to ever be printed.
Yeah, and it's just much cheaper than any of the, it's got multiple reprints in varying degrees, and this is much cheaper than any of the others were. So it seems likely it's going to move up.
All right.
Yep. I got a reprinted card too. It hasn't been reprinted that recently.
Okay.
Slowgurk and old Sticky Fingers both want to be playing this card, which is Life from the Loam. It's in a dual deck. It was in Modern Masters. It's got a secret layer printing, and it was in Ultimate Masters. So like that sounds like a lot, but it's really not that much. Life from the Loam is a $20+ card.
The first 3 printings were from 2013 or prior.
Yeah. Plus, that's still a competitive card in some forms anyway. Like maybe not as much as it used to be, but
yeah. Plus, the secret layer version of it is really ugly.
What? No, I like that.
Really?
Yes. Okay. I mean, I think the box topper one is the best, but like
the box topper is very good. But that's not a $15 card. That is a $60 card.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you can get Life from the Loam under $20, no matter what the version just about, you do so. Certainly.
Yeah. Makes sense. DJ, what do you got?
I also have a green card. Mine is roughly 50 cents instead of a much higher number.
It wasn't. It wasn't a couple months. It wasn't a month ago.
We got your 50-cent picks, we got your $5 picks, we got your $15 picks. Everything
so treasures have been a big thing the past several months with Adventures of the Forgotten Realms and with just Modern Horizons 2, like Dockside Extortionist is a lot of money. A lot of people make treasures, and there are some ways to discourage your opponent from playing treasures. This is Viridian Revel. It is a 3-mana uncommon from Scars of Mirrodin that I remember drafting back in the day. Mm-hmm. It's very innocuous. It just says whenever an opponent's artifacts are put into the graveyard from play, you draw a card, and you draw a card for each treasure. This card's in the same vein as like Carpet of Flowers or Compost, where there are green enchantments that do a thing if your opponent is playing a specific color. I'm using colored air quotes for artifacts, but like everybody plays artifacts. If you're playing Carpet of Flowers, somebody at the table is playing blue. And this is just a green 3-mana card that will almost definitely provide you with a very high amount of card draw throughout the course of a Magic game, and it's 50 cents. So, like, this is a card that I think you buy, like, 5 or 10 of just in case, and eventually it'll creep its way up to $2 or $3 after being in a YouTuber who is more successful than us's video.
Yeah, it's actually funny. I just picked up a couple copies. I love, like, people are going to be like, well, you can't play it. It does literally nothing if your opponents have no artifacts. But, like, you know, I've got Enchantress decks, got a deck that cares about Green Devotion. But I also am just looking at the MTG Goldfish and, like, feeling kind of guilty because I know every single spike on this is when I tweeted about it. I've been, like, hyping this card up for so long. And like, I got a bunch of copies of this for 18 cents not that long ago.
Well, so another reason I really like this card, and just like you said, if your opponents aren't playing artifacts, and I've said this for Carpet of Flowers, like, if I'm playing Carpet of Flowers and nobody at the table is playing blue, good. Like, that's a good thing. If nobody at the table has any artifacts, cool. That means they haven't drawn their Soul Rings, their Mana Crypts, their Signets, their Swords, their whatevers. If this thing's not getting value, I'm getting value by them not having more dangerous things.
I can't wait to cast Culling Ritual while this is in play, and someone else has like 18 treasures, and them just realizing, oh my god, what have I done? Like,
there's certainly some blowout potential there with that one for sure. I like that pick, DJ.
Yeah.
All right.
Culling
Well,
Ritual is a bonus pick of the week. It's under $3. That's too cheap.
all right. And to round things out, Cheap, do you have a pick for us?
I have the most boring milquetoast answer, which is 5 cards. It is
Okay.
the cycle of enemy color signets. They hit reprints very often in Commander products, but they can never be reprinted in Standard. With the previously mentioned issue where cards that people want to put in every single deck not being able to be counterfeit anymore, people are going to need more copies of these than they otherwise would have. And the thing is, these get reprinted in precons. People, like, usually when somebody gets a precon, they're either breaking it down immediately or it stays together. Like, these only get reprinted in pre-constructed decks now. So they're they do hit reprints constantly, but they also sort of don't. And, you know, every Commander player wants like 5 Izzet Signets or whatever. Well, maybe not 5. Maybe not everyone as crazy as me, but
but generally a couple, right?
I do like to talk about Soul Ring, because people say Soul Ring. It's like, Soul Ring's gotten 8 million reprints. Why is it still $2? Why isn't it just like 50 cents yet? And it's like, because every person that opens a Soul Ring in a precon is keeping the Soul Ring in that precon or trading the Soul Ring to somebody else who is building a deck exclusively of cards that use the new precon. So somebody's
You
building
can't print enough Soul Rings.
yeah.
Correct.
I'm the lone crazy person who will take Soul Ring out of a precon because I just don't like the card. I think it's kind of boring. But yeah, like, it's Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, like, these cards did sort of, like, these are the sorts of cards that actually ironically had this sinking effect from people being able to do counterfeiting. Because they do enter at a slow rate, but they're consumed, so to speak, at the exact same rate. And now that there's no longer supply of these, like, staple cards, like Ramp and all these things that everyone always says you need in every deck, Like something like Sol Ring now is only going to be produced at the same rate that new decks are. I mean, you know, and secret layers. I don't expect Sol Ring to be the spiky one, but maybe the talismans as well, because like those are also not going to get a reprint. But yeah, that's my prediction. Artifact ramp.
I like it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, well, thank you again for coming on the show tonight. We really appreciate it. Everybody, go check out sheepwave.com. Find all of the links. We really appreciate you coming on the show. All right. Well, everyone at home, thank you for listening. For Brainstorm Brewery, I'm Corbin. We'll see you all next week.